Welcome to Custer Wolfe Building a Watch Company. I'm RT.
And I'm Tyler.
And today we're going to talk about the end of an era, the tail end of a saga, specifically the Sign Saga, and a bunch of other fun stuff like our military edition, etc. But first, do you want to answer a few questions from the audience?
Absolutely.
First burning question is from Robert from one of our previous episodes, and he says, how's the sign going? And so, Robert, we're going to dive into that question. That's a fantastic question. That's basically what half of this episode is. So stay tuned because it's going. It's on the building. It's super, super exciting.
Are we going to talk about it now?
I was going to just say both the questions and then we were going to talk about the questions.
Okay.
But we can totally...
Figured you were going to go one at a time.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably easier. Yeah, I mean, the short answer to the Sign Saga is that it's over. It's done.
Yeah,
Sign
it was
is
like,
mounted.
I don't know if you call it anticlimactic. We had a hearing with a panel from the city of Fort Collins.
Yep, the zoning board.
And they pretty much said, yeah, that's why we have these variances for reasonable requests like this.
Yeah.
And we didn't really have to say much. They just let us hang it up. So that was a nice surprise.
They came out, they took some pictures of the building, they showed a overhead view of the building. They clearly had read the application that we put in where we said like, well, the sign is 50 feet back from the sidewalk. So we feel like it has to be bigger because, a 4-foot diameter sign on a huge building that far away with traffic moving that fast it's just not going to do the trick. And then we gave some other examples. And I mean, you're not gonna believe this, but when you follow the process and you just do what they say, sometimes it works.
Yeah. Universally, sometimes it works.
60% of the time, all the time.
And thank you, Fort Collins, for being part of that.
Thank you to everyone at the city of Fort Collins for building a process that was actually fairly straightforward to follow and sticking to that process. Like you said, they literally said like, this is why we built this process. They thanked us for being so professional about it. And they said, go ahead and hang your sign. So that happened.
Yeah. I mean, it was easy enough that you were able to zoom in from the airport waiting for your flight.
I was sitting on the floor in the airport, forgot my headphones. Thanks, Bella, for lending me some headphones so that I basically had this like official meeting on speakerphone on my laptop sitting in the airport. But we made it work. Yep. And you said, I forget what you said specifically, but they were all nodding and like, yep. Okay, cool.
Yeah, a lot of nods.
Yep, a lot of nods. And the first thing that got said after we presented was just like, this seems like a very reasonable request. So like before they voted, we could already tell that they were probably going to get it. And so it was fairly anticlimactic because we had waited like 45 days between application and that meeting. Mm-hmm. But it was super exciting hanging the sign yesterday. Yeah,
we had the hearing on Thursday last week.
Yep.
And then we had the sign up on Monday morning.
It was done. Had to build a template. Thanks, Josh, for helping us figure that out.
Yep.
Josh and Alex were out here, built a template, drilled holes in the wall. We kind of only had one shot at it.
Yeah, hanging a 7-foot sign is not my strong suit.
It was heavy. I mean, we had 5 of us on it, and it was tough, but we got it up there. It's 7 feet, almost 7 feet in diameter.
Yeah.
Like one solid welded together piece of stainless steel. And in the sunshine, it looks really cool.
Yep. And we've got lights for it, and it's going to be sweet.
We officially have a sign on a building. So we'll take down our temporary signs and people can find us now.
Yep. And we might do a clock.
Yep.
We've actually been talking about another sign in the front, kind of like Black's Glass, that has a thing that hangs so you can see it as you're walking by on the sidewalk.
Now that we know how to do the process, now we can apply for another sign.
So many options.
We can follow the code.
A world of options.
So much signage potential. So thank you, Robert, for the question. It has been a saga for several episodes, and now it's over. Now we have a sign, and we're going to schedule a grand opening party now that we have proper signage for the photo opportunity. Trying to get some VIPs here, help us cut the ribbon. That'd be cool. And that'll be coming up here in a couple weeks. Probably about when this episode comes out is when we'll have our grand opening party. And then, if you want to come and visit us, you can anytime. But after the grand opening, we're updating the website with like a really cool way to like book an appointment and basically schedule a tour. We have it now, but we're just going to make it easier to find. So if you're interested in that, just for now, check out the website. And if you don't see it, just send us an email, info@vorticwatches.com. Other question we had from John Edward was, tell us more about FTS, and do you have any video of how they make those movements or how they assemble those movements in America? And that's a fantastic question. And the answer to the video part of it is we don't have a video, but we're going there in November. When we launch the military edition, we're actually launching it from Fountain Hills because there's a big, it's called the Fountain Hills Festival of the Fine Arts, which I'm surprised I said that well.
I'm impressed.
There's a lot of F's. Got to enunciate that. But the Fountain Hills Arts Festival we've done for years, and it happens to be on November 11th, and so we're going to come in a day early, hopefully spend some time with FTS or Find Timepiece Solutions down there in Fountain Hills. And so we'll see if we can gather some more info for you. We'll see if we can do an interview with them maybe. I don't know how well this microphone setup travels, but we'll, figure it out. And we'll answer that question in more detail. But Tyler, you want to give kind of like an overview of like what they do there, I guess?
Yeah, I mean,
now?
FTS is a relatively young company. They haven't been around for a long time, and the leadership there is relatively young too. They share a lot of ethos with us in terms of manufacturing in the USA, specifically involving watches. They have been assembling quartz watches for, do you know how long?
A couple years, I think.
At least a few years.
2-3 years? Yeah. I think they started pre-pandemic.
So that was kind of their first project, getting parts for quartz watches, quartz movements, and assembling those, as well as assembling watches for some other brands. And they designed their own caliber of automatic mechanical watch movement that has, so it's their specific caliber. I'm sure it has similarities with a lot of other movements. It doesn't look all that much different than an ETA movement. But I think they've made some improvements. I really like some of the stuff that they did, like with the balance bridge.
Yep, the rotor's really cool.
They've got some really sharp people, but it's their own caliber. They're getting the parts manufactured around the world. So not all the parts are manufactured in the U.S., but assembly is being done in Fountain Hills at their facility, which a lot of people might not know how difficult it is to assemble a watch movement. That is a lot of work. That's a watchmaker work. They sit there and they make sure each part fits and make sure it's oiled. They have specific tools and presses to get all the jewels in the right spots and make sure everything's functioning properly. So it's a huge task just to assemble the movements after the parts have been made elsewhere. I believe that they want to make as much as they can in the U.S. over time.
Yep.
But for now, this is the first step that makes the most sense, at least to me. So we're really looking forward to working with them.
Yeah, and we've had the privilege of seeing other companies do this. Like we were in Eterna Movements factory years ago, and we've seen some, obviously, like, if you search YouTube for like Rolex manufacturing, I don't know how often they let people see, a Rolex movement or an Omega movement, like the big brands assembling. I'm sure there's a video somewhere on YouTube of like someone assembling a high-end Swiss-made movement from start to finish, but it's all done by hand. There's really not, there's machines that make those parts, and there's machines and tools to help you, but a high-end, a luxury automatic movement is assembled completely by hand. and so
Yeah, we're
they
talking
have,
almost 200 parts.
and it's 200 parts, and 100 of which are hard to see. They're tiny.
Yeah.
Very. I mean, it's literally fits in that. Like it's tiny. And these movements are what, 32 millimeters in diameter, something like that.
I don't know off the
It's
top of my head.
ish, and so that's the whole thing. 200 parts and only 32 millimeters of total diameter and a couple millimeters thick. Like it's tiny, and it's all done by hand. And they have a beautiful facility there. We actually were inspired to build our clean room off of theirs. But they have they have a lot of natural light. They have the airlock, that everybody wears. Like they wear different shoes.
Yeah.
They wear the jackets, all the stuff you're supposed to do.
Super professional.
And head up by a master watchmaker.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to try to document as much of that as possible to share with all of you and see how they do it. Some of the things are proprietary, so some of the things we won't be able to share just because they won't allow us to have it on video. But as much as they're willing to share, we'll put right here on YouTube. So,
yep.
We'll that's the first answer to the question, but we'll circle back is what we typically say.
Yeah.
So besides the sign, which we talked about, super stoked about, and the grand opening coming up because of that and all that. Next big project that we're working on is the military edition. And you finished a prototype. I mean, 95% of a prototype the other day, right?
Yeah, we've got a lot of things going on right now, but we did finish a military prototype.
And it looks really cool.
Yeah, we're stoked. We finished, at least the first stainless prototypes.
Right. And I think I alluded in one video maybe like 3 months ago that we're going to do a special edition this year. But now that I just said that, I might as well just say it real. This year on November 11th, just like we always do. So November 11th is Veterans Day. This will be the 4th year we do this. We're going to release a military edition watch. And this will be the 4th year in a row that we have a 50-piece limited edition set. And those are the Hamilton 4992Bs with the black dial, says GCT on it, 24-hour true dial. You can learn everything you need to know about this at vorticwatches.com/military. You'll see the past ones that we've done. We're going to have 50 of those. We changed the case a little bit. Not going to tell you much about it. Just know that I'm partial to this product in general, but this one is very cool. Probably the coolest. We call it the 4th edition. There'll be 50 of them for sale on that day. Typically, it's the only day you can buy it because they've sold out in roughly 24 hours. Almost every one, last 3 years. And in 2020, we did a special edition of an additional, on top of the 50, a separate 15-piece limited edition, or we called it a special edition. And those in 2020, they sold out in 6 minutes. Remember that? It's crazy. We were like, no one's we've never charged this much for a watch before. These are really cool. I don't know. I was just I don't know what's going to happen. 6 minutes. Gone.
Yeah. Our biggest complaint was we didn't make enough.
Yeah. So we're not actually going to take that feedback because this year we're going to do another 15-piece special edition separately than the 50. So it'll be 65 total watches available on November 11th. They come out at 12 noon Mountain Time. By the way, that's actually a question I get all the time. 12 noon Mountain Time on the dot. I'm going to be on the computer switching over. And the 15 this year are insane. It's taken us almost 6 years to gather enough movements to find these 15 movements. They're that rare. It's insane. And super, super stoked to share that. So the best way, if you're interested in the military edition, the best way to learn more is to go to vorticwatches.com/military and sign up for what we call the waiting list. It's a separate email list that we just send military edition related information to. And just keep an eye on that list, make sure you're on it. When I send an email to that list, reply to me so that you let me know you want it, you're ready, and you're getting those emails. And then, Yeah, 12 p.m. November 11th. Everybody has the same chance. We try to make it as fair as possible. And first 15 people can get one of those special editions, and then we'll have 50 of the 4th edition available. So what's next in that project? What's left to solve?
We are tweaking the case tube right now.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
The crown looks sick.
We also
You
have
guys
to
changed
make
like 3 things.
the special edition cases.
Yep.
But they're just more tweaking than redesign or anything. And we have to build them.
My other question for you
We
is,
have to make the shipping display stands, and we have to make all the foam and
yeah. Have you changed your thought process, or how do you get excited, or do you get excited about building 50 of something instead of just one of something, or what does that look like for you? And
yeah, I mean, the
process?
military edition is a nice kind of medium between normally what we do, which is one completely different watch every day, and heritage watches compared to mechanical, which is going to be
thousands
more volume, more of the same thing over and over.
Yep.
But they're still pocket watches. I mean, they still are definitely one of a kind.
They're still one of a kind, yeah.
They still have, each one has their own issues. So
especially these 15 in the special edition, they're straight up one of a kind.
yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons. I mean, the military edition's fun because each year it looks so cool. And everybody likes it so much. So it's easy to work on.
It's great to get that level of validation, and customers get so
we just
excited.
get such good feedback on those watches, and like for good reason. They do look cool.
And we get emails year round like, can I buy it? Can I buy it? Nope. November 11th. That's the day.
Yeah, so that's a fun one anyway. And, talking about ideas for videos and stuff, like why we do it and, what makes it so special. Because, I mean, all of our watches are special. They all have 100-year-old pocket watches inside of them, and they all have a story. But these have a specific story that you can tell. And for a lot of Americans, at least, when we put these watches on, you kind of have a connection to people that fought for the country, and it's a cool thing. It's a cool feeling that you get when you put the watch on, and it looks cool.
It's about how it makes you feel, for sure.
Yep.
And that's I was thinking for the next episode that's just me, I was going to document that history, because that's a question that we get a lot of, like, okay, these pocket watches were used in World War II. How, when, why, where, and this will be our 4th year doing it. So I've had 5 years of research and conversations with people, and it might be a long one trying to document all that, but we got a lot of props. I mean, just like this box behind us, I mean, that's not the same watch that we use in the military edition, but like that's kind of the same vibe, and it's from the same era. So there's a lot of cool stories in military history that really aren't documented. Like, they're on blogs and stuff, but not really on YouTube. So
yeah, in your head.
See if I can take them out of the head, put them into this thing, and see what that says.
Love to see it.
That's why we're here. Other than military edition, there's so many different things that you're working on. And we had a conversation about, like, what's next, and how do you keep it straight, and when do you start the next project, and how many different projects can you have going at one time from an R&D standpoint. But we got military, and then we're also rolling out 16 size in, like, as far as production goes. So our watch of the day has mostly been 12 size, which is our 46 millimeter watches. But now you're going to start seeing 16 size being put in there, one a week or so, hopefully soon.
And Railroad
edition is coming back. A lot of people have asked us about that for a long time. Right now we're servicing the people that sent us family heirlooms. We call it the heritage process, or convert your watch on our website. People will send us a bunch of Railroad movements and 16 size movements. So they're getting the first round of those cases. But I think we're at the tail end of that now, so we can start making them for sale and selling some Railroad watches. And then after that is the Victorious project that we probably won't talk about until it comes out early next year.
We have mechanical.
And then we have mechanical.
It's a pretty big one.
Yep.
And then we have the Journeyman project, which is also gray area to talk about.
Yeah, because we don't really know. I think the answer is we have a strategy session a week from today, and we're going to map it all out on a whiteboard and try to figure out, like, all right.
We have the 12 size V3 that's coming out.
Yep.
We've got like a lot. And might be worth saying or explaining why, like when you've seen one of those 16 sizes, why can't we just do any 16 size now? And so when we say we're coming out with the 12 size V3 and the Railroad V3 and the 16 size V3, we totally redesigned the watch and the way that we make them.
I call it the case engineering system.
Yes, we totally redesigned that. And before, we would make the same case for the product that I'm wearing. We call this the V2 12 size.
Yep.
The cases would be the same, and then we would customize Delrin inserts inside the case for each individual movement.
Delrin is like a really high-end plastic that's used in watches. The word plastic is not correct. It's way more intense.
Yep. Precision machined, like really good stuff.
Some rocket science.
But the cases were all the same, so a little bit easier on the machining side. But even in that situation, we still need to make the case, and then we need to go through and prototype each of those individual models of movements from the different companies, from different eras, and get dimensions, and then test and build watches. So the way that's different with the V3 is we're actually making a different case for each model.
Yep.
So everything about that case will be customized to be perfect for that movement. So the heights of each watch will be different, the diameters to grab the movements, things of that nature, actually change with each individual movement. We've got a system that works really good, but we still have to do the work of building a case for each individual movement.
Yep.
And that just takes time. So like when we say the Railroad Edition is ready, we've built multiple different models of movements into Railroad Editions, but we've still got lots of models that we still need to move through.
Yeah. For those that know Railroad pocket watches, the case for the Hamilton 992B would be very different than the case for a Waltham up-down indicator.
Mm-hmm.
It's
the lever that you pull to set the time is in a totally different spot.
That's a great example. Like the lever on the Waltham is at like 11 o'clock, and then the lever on most Railroad pocket watches, like the 992, is at 1 o'clock. So it's a huge difference.
We literally take a picture of the movement with the lever extended, overlay that on the case, and use that to draw the different lever locations.
Yep.
So like there's a lot of work that goes in, especially the Railroad Edition, for doing the different models. But it takes a while, even after we've got all of the stuff, the quote unquote hard stuff figured out.
Yep.
It still just takes a long time with a small team to get it built out for the rest of the different models.
Yep. But it's worth it because we do something that no one else does. And if we don't do this, those pocket watches will sit in a drawer or go away.
Yeah. And
so
the way we're doing it is not the easiest way to do it. But it's harder than it used to be.
The easy way is
to
not
do
the best
all
way.
of that engineering for each model instead of just making those Delrin inserts. But it's the best way we know how to do it. So
yep. And that's actually, to bring us full circle, that's what we told the zoning board about the sign. Is like, we could have just painted a sign on the wall, but we're not going to do that. Like, we're a manufacturing company. You know, we want something that's worthy of this building and what we do in it. So we manufactured a sign out of a giant piece of stainless steel, because now when you pull into the parking lot and you see it, it's like, oh, they probably made that sign, and we did. Yeah. And I feel like the council, like, you know, resonated with that. You know, I think that made sense. So
yeah, I mean,
we try to do it all the right way. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share with the audience before you hop on your own plane and go have fun.
Going to Florida.
You can take a few days off.
Yep.
You earned it.
Things been pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty normal.
Knock on wood.
Building's looking great. We got a few more organization things done. I feel like we're fully moved into the machine room.
Mm-hmm.
Got the 5-axis. I was this close to hitting go on a part on the 5-axis before my trip here, but early next week we should be making parts on that first of the 2 new machines to be ready to go. So it's
awesome.
exciting.
And I'm going to say it one more time, just for the people in the back. Military edition, vorticwatches.com/military. Sign up for the waiting list. Every year, somebody sends us an email on November 12th and says they want it, and they missed it. So don't be that person. vorticwatches.com/military. Sign up for the waiting list. I am working on this awesome like marketing kind of layout of like, here's 5 or 6 different emails all about the history of it. Like I said, the next video we're going to film is all about the history of it. So don't miss out on all of that information. If you like military history, if you like watches, it's called the Military Edition. It's the epitome of what we do. And it only happens once a year, and that's 12 p.m. Mountain Time on November 11th. So check that out. And if you want updates like this periodically, go to vorticwatches.com and just sign up for our email list. You can also subscribe. I should really look where it is. I'm pretty sure it's right here. It's the bottom right on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button here on the Custer Wolfe Show so you can see these episodes. We have a weekly episode now. Every other week, it's me and Tyler hanging out, talking about what's going on. And the weeks in between, it's just one of us sharing some behind the scenes, how it's made of what we're doing. So check that out. And if you have any questions, feedback, if you just want to say how excited you are that we have a sign now, post a comment underneath this video and let us know, and we'll help you out. Other than that, we'll see you next time.
Have a great day.